Okay, shall I? I'm going to go back to my earlier days about my family. My very earliest memory, I must have been about 4 years old. My oldest brother had been taken to Williston, North Dakota for an appendectomy surgery. And my mom was down there with him. So I was staying with my Aunt Mamie, who was my cousin Wilma's mom. And I remember standing up in bed and she was putting long white stockings on me, and I was standing in bed. And that was my first memory that we were going to go to Williston to see my brother. My mom was a very good cook, and she took several things to the county fair, and she would get blue ribbons always. And I was the first girl. Well, I was the first girl in the family. Dad's sister had 3 sons. His brother up the hill from us had 2 sons, and he already had 2 sons, and there wasn't a girl showed up until I came along. So everybody was happy to have me arrive. I started cooking with Mom when I was 5. I had memorized this cake recipe, very simple cake recipe, and I would do that without any help. And our stove, we had a coal stove. We heated with coal. The oven temperature, you just kind of regulated by what you thought the temperature would be from how it felt from above. And Mom got, I guess I told you, Mom got lots of blue ribbons for her cooking at the fair. And then about our school, we had a very, very nice 2-room school, and it was a new building. My brothers and I walked that 1.5 miles. At home, our house was not very large. We had all 3 of us girls eventually were in the same bed, in the same bedroom. But that really, I was gone most of the time. By that time, I was working. And the boys slept upstairs in the house, which the upstairs was not finished well, but it was roomy for them.
Mom, when was your house connected? Because you had the 2 homes that weren't connected for a while.
Oh, well,
You know, you had to walk between 2 buildings.
no, I don't remember that. But you're right. Mom's dad had a little house, and they did bring that down and connect it to the house that we had, so that eventually when the folks got electricity and put in a bathroom, there wasn't any time we went in and out, I don't think. But they did connect those 2 houses, so it made it larger, yeah. And chicken, I said we had chickens, and that meant if sometimes Mom would say, hey, kids, go and run down a chicken for dinner tonight, or supper it was there. So we go out and run one poor old hen until we caught her, and then she was supper that time. And it didn't seem cruel to us to wang that head on a rock and chop it off and flying around like a chicken with his head cut off. We knew what that meant because we had seen that happen a lot. My brothers, all four of them were in the service during World War II. The two oldest were away from home for 3 years. They were in active duty, and my one brother said we were so happy that the missionaries had been there before we got there, because and I don't remember just where this was, but he said the
It was over in the Pacific Islands.
yeah, but I don't remember specifically, and they were in the Pacific, yeah, Islands. But he said the natives would carry any of our injured men. They would carry them out so gently, so that they wouldn't hurt them. And if it was a Japanese they were carrying, they would hunch their shoulders like this, and purposely try to. So Alvin said we were really happy to have had the missionaries there to that had worked with them.
Your brothers and the names.
Howard was the oldest.
Okay.
Alvin was the next. Ira was the next. Herman is the last, and he is my only living sibling, Herman.
So why don't you give the full thing of the brothers and the sisters, just so you can...
Oh, okay. In line, in
Yeah.
the way we were born,
Yes.
Mom and Dad had a stillborn first child. And the second child was Howard. And he became a farmer up at Wolf Point. He and married a girl from up in there. Alvin became an engineer. And Ira was, he started college on the government, paid for the college for the vets. But
GI Bill.
GI Bill, yeah. But he just wasn't happy with, he thought he'd go back and finish and came home for a while, but that often doesn't work out. So he didn't go back, and he farmed, and he worked with some builders also in Culbertson, this town not far away. And then eventually he came and helped Dad when Dad was not so able. And then Herman was a barber for many years. And then he eventually became an insurance man. And that worked out very well for him, this insurance.
So your age was, you were between
I was between Alvin
and
Ira.
okay. And how about Isabel?
And then Isabel comes after Ira, and then Herman, and then Grace. That Grace, our sister Grace, was killed in a car accident. She was just 17 years old. She had just graduated from high school. And, you know, kids, there were 6 kids in this car, and they'd gone up to the town just out of Culbertson where we went to school, and had gone to a movie that night. And it was one of those nights that's so dark, and it was raining very hard. And on the way home, there were 3 in the front seat, 3 in the back, and my sister was in the middle in the front. On the way home, they were not driving excessively fast, but they came upon a big truck that was parked, or I mean, it was just stopped in the lane of traffic. They found that it was some Indians, and that not necessarily bad because it was Indians, but they happened to be Indians, and they were all drunk in the truck, and they were just stopped in the highway, and it was so dark and raining so hard they didn't see, and they ran into the back of the truck and killed 2 of the kids. Well, my sister was one of them. Yeah. So thinking of her, she's the only one that got to have a dog in the house. On the farm, you know, we just didn't have dogs in the house. Dogs were outside. And she had a little dog. My brother Herman and I do a lot of memories. We email every day. Every night I write him an email, and every morning he writes me one when he gets up. Now, this very day. So we've written hundreds of emails. And do you remember this, and do you remember that? Yes, we've had lots of good memories, helping each other. But he said, "Oh, I didn't know where that little dog had come from." And just yesterday, he said that little dog people had come from Sydney, Montana, and had come up to visit the folks, and their dog ran away while it was there. So and when they found it, they don't just keep it. So Grace had this little dog, and she would play house. Mom told me about this. They would play house, and the dog was her baby. She had a little doll buggy she would push him in, and he seemed to be kind of a dumb little dog. She would dress him in doll clothes, and then the part of the house that was not clean was Mom's in the morning when she started cleaning up in the kitchen. Then the other part of the house was Grace's house. And then when Mom moved to clean that, then the other part was Grace's house. But Mom told me one time, Grace said, "Mom, please don't mention my baby's tail. Don't mention that my baby has a tail." So, but yeah, let's see, what other, I remember just little things that happened. One time Herman came in, and my brother Herman, he said, "Mom, I found a chicken nest." We used to found my dad had planted trees all along Windbreak on the east side of the house, west side of the yard, and he just had planted a lot of trees around. And the chickens sometimes would try to nest in the trees, make their own nests, not go to the chicken coop. So Herman said, "There's a nest out here with 12 eggs. So Mom got ready to go out and check that out and couldn't. Well, Herman finally, she said, "Where did you see it?" "Well, if you had heard the way that hen was cackling, you'd think there was a nest around here with at least 12 eggs in it." She'd been looking. looking for, and then my brother Howard, when he was small, had climbed up on top of the chicken coop. And Mom finally just checking on him and found him out there on top crying, and she went over to help him, and he's get down, and he said, I don't believe in God anymore. I prayed for him to help me down, and he didn't do it. And Mom said, of course he did it. He sent me out to get you. And so I guess his faith was restored.
Mom, tell a little bit about like the bath, like it was an outhouse and your plumbing. I mean, that was
Yeah.
of interest to me is when I always go to the farm.
Yeah, we did have outhouse between two rows of trees out to the east, and that was our bathroom. No flushing water around there for years until Mom and Dad. Well, we didn't have electric lights either for a long time. There was no rural electrification. I don't remember. REA they called it when they put electricity out to the farms. So Mom and Dad did eventually have a bathroom, and they built on another bedroom too.
But that wasn't until I was probably in the fifth
I was
grade.
gone.
I was in
gone.
the 5th grade when they got a
Yeah,
flushing
I
bathroom.
was gone.
You?
Yeah, I was in the 5th grade, so yeah.
But the bathroom?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
flushing toilet, yeah.
Yes. Well, you get used to something. There's nothing the matter with that.
Yeah, 'cause
We've
I
done it
always
all-
use that.
We've done it all these years.
Yeah, I always use the outhouse, yeah.
It's winter. It's not good, huh?
Well, we don't want to, maybe
We
we
won't
won't detail.
We won't go into all that.
They did have a pail on the porch that we all used. Yeah,
Winter's not good, no.
yeah.
You might say that. Well, yeah, let me see what else. We had a big garden. My dad was a gardener, and I think he actually tried to, or I think he used it as a relaxing thing after he'd been walking. He didn't have a tractor for a long time, and he had horses. So after walking home behind horses all day, he'd come home and go out and work in his garden to relax, or maybe it was to. I like to think it was to relax, and not because someone else hadn't helped him do it. But he had very generous, had the best potatoes you ever did taste. And that's what I missed when I moved away. After we were married, I was telling him how much I missed his potatoes. And in the mail, got a shoebox full of a box of his potatoes one time when we were in Goldendale. Yeah, he had a great garden and shared. And there was especially one fellow, he'd always come in the spring and say, do you have enough potatoes so that I can have seed for my garden? And he always planted them, and I didn't know why he didn't save his own seed. But anyway, my dad and Mom were so generous, always helping people, always.
Didn't he give those big, huge bags of potatoes away to people?
Well, he would give anyone that wanted something, but when he harvested, he would take grain up to a town a ways north of us, not too far, but a ways. Take the grain and have it ground into flour. And then he would come home with 100-pound sacks and many 100-pound sacks of flour. and he would give some that he liked. Always the pastor got 100 pounds of flour, and all that we could use during the winter. I don't know if it was gardening stuff. I think he took into town, into Culbertson, to a man who had moved in, and he had a family. He was going to start a business with shoe repair. Well, my dad thought he's not going to do very well, raise a family on that. So my dad took him a big sack of potatoes, and he didn't know the guy, but he just knew he needed help. So the fellow said, "My, you are so generous, you know." No, but Dad said, you know, he was thinking like, Dad wasn't taking any credit, you know. Dad said, "Oh no, I do it. I do it because it makes me feel good. I'm not so generous. It makes me feel good to do it. That's why I do it."
And didn't he not do harvesting or something on Sunday, or is that just?
Oh no, he never harvested on Sunday. Mm-mm. And he said, as far as I know, our neighbors used to do some harvesting on Sunday, but when they, you know, could hail and ruin your whole crop if you didn't get this harvesting done. And he said, as far as I know, I've never lost a bushel of wheat because I didn't harvest on Sunday. And no, we never did that kind of work on Sunday. No.
Mom, just a minute, just a second. I'm going to let you have some water if you want. Some water.
We had a church, a lovely church. They had someone painter come in, and there was a well-known, I don't know the details there, but he had painted the inside of this big church, and there were several steps up to get on the front, on the sides to get up to the entry into the church. And he had painted angels and everything all around on the walls, high on the walls, and up at the altar and all that. And that church was struck by lightning and burned. So Howard and I were married not in that church, but that I grew up in, but in another one that they built to replace that. Something kind of jars my memory. At church one time, there were 3 little boys kind of grabbing caps and running with with the other kids' caps, and 2 of them were kind of on one side and one was doing the grabbing, and a man overheard this. One of them said to the other, "Let's just go and grab his hat." "Oh, no," he said, "we can't return evil for evil. Let's go beat him up." Can't do this. We can't do this. Return evil for evil. Well, let me see. Back home again. I just don't know that. Can you think of anything that I could?
Well, you did things like talk a little bit about maybe your family get-togethers, overnighters with your, down by the lilac bushes and the big picnics Grandma would do, and
Yes, and also I want to tell you about Christmas. My dad just really loved trees, so he had planted lilac bushes, a great big circle of them down in the yard, And it was, as we girls were growing up, that was our playhouse kind of down in there. And also Mom would have, and that, I don't remember it, well, you don't have a December birthday party down there. I was gonna say, I don't remember any of my parties down there, no, not in December. But my sister parties down, birthday party down in there, in the Lilac Circle. Yeah, and we used to go down there and play house, and Mom had one yellow rose that she loved outside the window. That was her favorite. I told you one of my favorite cousins, Wilma, her family lived 5 miles from our place. And our mothers were sisters. We were very close with them. We spent celebrated Christmas with them. If they were at our place Christmas Eve, then we were at their place Christmas Day for dinner, and vice versa. The next year it would be the other way around. And we didn't have electricity, but we had candles, if you could believe. We had candles all over that tree, and we would light the candles. But we were always warned to be careful. And never did I hear, in all my growing up years, and in all of Dane Valley, I never heard of a tree burning in the house. I mean, burning the house. Everyone just was that careful. But anyway, as the evening progressed, we pulled the tree out to the middle of the living room, and then we joined hands and we'd go around and around and around the tree, singing all the carols we knew, you know, till we get tired of that, and then they put the tree back and blow out the candles. Yeah. Let me see.